So this morning in meditation, Venerable Sepul gave a motivation talking about the crises in the world: nuclear war, climate change, contentious political climate. And the conclusion of that was to use all of that as fuel to deepen our renunciation. And that's good to do. For me personally, when I hear all of the terrible things that would maybe happen in a row like that, I see that my mind feels discouraged, and often anger arises. So, because it doesn't feel like there's enough that I can do to make a difference with all of these huge things. So I was thinking about that this morning, and thought about how to work with that. And recently I read a phrase. I don't even remember where I read it, but it really resonated with me and kind of showed a path forward forward now for me, since reaching the final goal of Buddhahood that's not going to happen in this life for me. So something to kind of work with now, so that I feel like I can contribute. And so the phrase is, it's hard to hate people up close. It's hard to hate people up close. And so this rings true to me. When I read it, it rang very true. But then I thought about, how do I know this to be true? And so I thought about two examples that have happened fairly recently that kind of embodies this sentence. It's hard to hate people up close. So the first example is my experience at the prison in Spokane with Venerable Nawang. We visit twice a month, and we teach meditation to two different groups, one in the minimum security unit and the other one in the medium security unit. And we're slowly going through Venerable Kadro's book, How to Meditate. First, going into this prison, I saw how I needed to work with my mind, because many of the incarcerated there in that prison have been charged with sexually abusing minors. So I have a lot of strong feelings about people who sexually abused children, as I'm sure everyone does. I found that I was fearful going into this prison and wondering which of the incarcerated were there due to abusing children. So I really needed to get clear about why I was going into this prison, what my motivation was, and how to work with my proliferating mind. I saw that having a mind that was afraid and judgmental, wanting punishment, would lead to anger and hate, and I would not be helping there at all, nor would I be helping myself, nor would I be following the path that I have chosen to follow, actually. So the first thing I did was I decided to quit labeling the folks in the two groups, since I had no way of knowing why they were in prison. Some prisons post that on their websites, what people are charged with and why they are serving time, but in Washington State they don't. So I have no information about any of that. The only way I would be if the incarcerated that we work with would say that that's what they were in for. But just to drop that curiosity and proliferating mind, and wasn't helpful at all for my mind, so I dropped that. I also reminded myself, of course, that whatever actions they had done in the past, that's not who they are now. Many of them have been, especially in the medium group, they've been in for many, many years, incarcerated. So, they are different people from what happened that got them in there. So now working with these two groups after about a year, getting to know the men in the two groups at the prison, staying open and meeting them where they are each time we visit, has knocked down the partiality, the judgment and fear I carried. I have the experience of sharing the Dharma with them and seeing how strong their wish to change their behavior is. Over the months, they have become transparent, have shared their remorse for the actions that they did that got them locked up. Just in this year, about a year's time, working with them to see how much they have changed by reading, studying, meditating, and applying the Dharma. I see how my view of these men has changed from feeling separate from them to feeling close to them in terms of like shared humanity. We're all here trying to find happiness. We're all here trying to not have suffering. So the playing field is pretty leveled now. And that goes for also the guards also, because I've had big reactions to them sometimes if they're really kind of harsh and want to, control everything. So that was kind of my idea about who they were when I first went in, and that's not so true anymore. We've developed relationships with them. They're thankful that we come in and help. So the conclusion to that little story is that it's hard to hate people up close. You step in, you open your heart, and people open their hearts back. The second example is about the work that Youth Emergency Services in Pend Oreille County does to help homeless youth. Instead of saying the long name of Youth Emergency Services, we just call them YES. And so I'm on the board of this local nonprofit, and recently one of the schools stopped letting the YES teen advocates meet with at-risk students at the high school. It seems like this came about because the principal, who was very supportive of YES going in and helping, he or she, I don't know which, but was on medical leave, and so somebody else took his place or her place, and that person stopped access for YES to come in and to work with the kids. And it was so interesting to see what the executive director, Sarah, and the advocates did with this information. They just sent their kind of their plan about how they work with groups of homeless teens, the ones that are at risk, and what their kind of mission is, and what their, how they want to support, and what all the different kinds of resources that they have. So they just sent that to them. And apparently this, what they were going to do is have the legal department of the school draft a memo of understanding with YES. So who knows what that means or how long that would take. But so Sarah sent that information to them, and they configured everything so that they would meet the students that were at risk and needed some help, they would meet them on Zoom now. Prior, they met the kids in the principal's office, actually, when they went up to the campus. So they're doing it that way. They also give food every week, a lot of food, because many of the kids are not getting enough nutrition at all. And they also gives it to the entire family. They give the family food for the week. And so they continued to do that. So, at that point when they don't have access, and they did prior, and they have connection with these students, and they see how difficult their life is and how important it is to get the support, instead of getting angry and, wanting to, let their anger arise and, feel hate for them and push away, the people that have the control right now around all that. They chose not to do that at all. They kept their hearts open to the kids so that they could still access. They gave the information they thought would be helpful to see if, they would let them back in or not. They opened their heart to the principal, the acting principal, and the kids at the same time. And so that very much caught my attention. And you can just see how, just by choosing to do it that way, how they are influencing all the people. This is going to be noticed. This isn't something that is, not, they won't be aware of in that county, in that place. So I think very important. And again, it's hard to hate people up close. So, if we keep our heart open with no matter what is going on, and there's a lot going on right now, and it's really easy to close down and, stand in your own camp and separate yourself out from, whatever is going on. And gosh, that doesn't help. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help the people that we're directing that animosity toward. So when I thought about it this way, then I see how that idea about it's hard to hate people up close can keep the heart open, can keep my mind in reality, which is that we are all the same, all wanting happiness, all not wanting to suffer. It's a door to open to equanimity, to love, compassion, and to continue to develop bodhicitta. And by doing it this way, then, I can feel like I'm doing something. And I can move myself along the path for the final goal, which Venerable Seppel was talking about this morning, of, renunciation, bodhicitta, realizing emptiness, and completing this beautiful path to full awakening. So let's take that route as we hear of all of the difficulties that are swirling around, especially if we look at the news at all. Let's keep grounded in our practice because that is going to make a difference, and that's what we can do. And we do this for the benefit of all.